Your emotions aren't the enemy. Your reaction is. Most people think manipulation is about what someone else does to them. They think it's about the liar, the gaslighter, or the narcissist. But the truth is, a manipulator cannot work without a participant. They need you to react. They need you to get angry, to get defensive, or to seek their approval. But there is a specific personality trait, a way of operating in the world that renders these tactics completely useless. It's not about being cold, and it's not about being aggressive. It is about possessing a mind that is so disciplined, it acts as a fortress that no emotional storm can breach. Today, we are going to dismantle the toolkit of the manipulator by building the one thing they fear most, a self-governing mind. If you want to take back control of your reality, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You are about to learn how to become untouchable. The first layer of this unshakable personality is the mastery of the sacred pause. Manipulators thrive on urgency. They need you to make a decision now, feel guilty now, or get angry now. When you react instantly, you are operating on instinct, not logic. The person who is impossible to manipulate understands that there is a gap between what happens to you and what you do about it. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps, discovered this truth in the darkest place imaginable. He realized that while his captors could control his environment, his body, and his pain, they could not control his internal response. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Imagine you are in a heated argument. A coworker or a partner says something specifically designed to hurt you. The average person snaps back instantly. The manipulator wins because they have lowered you to their level. The unshakable person, however, takes a breath. They look at the insult, analyze it, and realize it says nothing about them and everything about the attacker. By waiting just 5 seconds before responding, you break the rhythm of manipulation. You force them to wait for you. You signal that you are not a puppet on a string, but the master of the show. We often think manipulation is only about negativity, but the most dangerous manipulators use praise as a weapon. They use love bombing, overwhelming you with compliments to lower your guard. People who are impossible to manipulate possess a trait called self-validated worth. This means their self-esteem is internal, not external. If you don't need their compliments, you won't fall for their trap. Think of the story of the Trojan horse. The Greeks couldn't breach the walls of Troy with force, so they left a beautiful gift outside the gates. The Trojans, flattered and curious, brought the horse inside their walls. That night, the enemy soldiers hiding inside climbed out and destroyed the city. Flattery is the Trojan horse. It feels like a gift, but it carries a hidden agenda. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned his students about this. He taught that if you turn your happiness over to others, waiting for them to clap for you, you effectively become their slave. If someone tells you you're the smartest person in the room and you feel a rush of euphoria, you are vulnerable. The unshakable person hears the compliment, says thank you, and checks it against their own reality. They know who they are. Because they don't crave the sugar rush of validation, they cannot be poisoned by it. When you know your own value, flattery becomes just noise, not currency. Gaslighting is a terrifying form of manipulation where someone tries to make you question your own sanity. They deny things they said or twist events until you're confused. The antidote to this is a personality trait rooted in objective reality. This is the ability to separate facts from feelings. A manipulator deals in narratives. The unshakable person deals in data. There is a modern psychological technique called the gray rock method. The idea is simple. When dealing with a toxic person, you become as boring and unyielding as a gray rock. You don't offer emotion, you don't offer drama, you only offer facts. Imagine a boss who tries to blame you for a missed deadline that wasn't your fault. They scream, they blame, they try to make you feel small. A manipulatable person cries or yells back. The unshakable person pulls up the email sent 2 weeks ago, points to the date, and calmly says, as per this attachment, the project was submitted on the 12th. No anger, no apology, just the rock-hard truth. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, wrote to himself, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." When you stick to the facts, the gaslighter's fuel runs out. They cannot burn you if you refuse to catch fire. Manipulators view boundaries as challenges to be overcome. They will test your limits to see how much they can take from you, your time, your money, your energy. The personality trait that stops this dead in its tracks is unapologetic guarding. This means setting a rule and refusing to explain why you set it. Explaining is often a form of negotiating, and you should never negotiate your peace of mind. Let's look at a common scenario, the guilt trip. A family member asks for a loan you can't afford to give. You say no. They say, "I thought family was important to you. I guess you don't care about me." This is the trap. They are trying to leverage your morality against you. The unshakable person recognizes this dynamic instantly. They don't get defensive. They don't say, "I do care, it's just that." They simply repeat the boundary. "I care about you, but I am not lending money." The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote heavily on the shortness of life, arguing that we are protective of our money, but wasteful with our time and energy. He said, "You are living as if destined to live forever. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." By treating your boundaries as laws of nature rather than suggestions, you teach people how to treat you. You show them that the door is locked and no amount of knocking will open it. Here is a hard truth. To be impossible to manipulate, you must be willing to be disliked. Manipulators rely on your desire to be a nice person. They know you will do almost anything to avoid being seen as selfish or rude. The trait you need here is social courage. It is the ability to tolerate the discomfort of someone being angry with you and realizing it won't kill you. There is a concept in psychology called the fog: fear, obligation, and guilt. These are the buttons manipulators push. If you are terrified of someone thinking you're the bad guy, you will always surrender. I had a friend who was terrified of breaking up with a toxic partner because he didn't want to hurt her feelings. She knew this, so every time he tried to leave, she would cry and call him heartless. He stayed for 2 extra years out of guilt. He was a prisoner of his own niceness. The moment he became free was the moment he accepted the narrative. Okay, if leaving to save my own mental health makes me the villain in your story, then I will be the villain. Once you stop fearing their judgment, you strip them of their leverage. As the Stoics say, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Your integrity matters more than their opinion of you. Most people talk too much. When we are nervous or accused of something, we tend to over-explain. We vomit information. A manipulator uses this information as ammunition. They listen for your insecurities, your fears, and your doubts. The personality trait of the unmanipulatable is strategic silence. This is the ability to become a mirror, reflecting the manipulator's behavior back at them without giving them anything to work with. In negotiation tactics and police interrogations, silence is used to make the other person uncomfortable. People hate silence. They rush to fill it. Next time someone asks you an intrusive question like, "Why are you still single?" or "How much money do you make?" try this. Look them in the eye and say nothing. Count to 5, or simply ask, "Why do you ask?" The silence shifts the pressure from you to them. They will start to backpedal. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we speak." By speaking less, you become an enigma. You become a puzzle they cannot solve. If they can't figure you out, they can't manipulate you. The ultimate hook a manipulator uses is the promise of a future outcome. If you do this for me, I'll get you that promotion. If you change how you dress, I'll love you more. They dangle a carrot in front of you. The personality trait that cuts this string is outcome detachment. In Stoicism, this is related to amor fati, loving your fate, whatever it may be. If you are desperate for the promotion, the boss owns you. If you are desperate for the relationship, the partner owns you. But if you can look at any situation and say, "I would prefer to have this, but I will be perfectly fine without it," you become dangerous. You become free. Think of a professional poker player. They don't play based on hoping to win a specific hand. They play the odds. If they have a bad hand, they fold. They don't chase the pot just because they want it. A manipulator cannot threaten to take something away from you if you are already willing to walk away from it. This is the superpower of the walk-away negotiation. When you are prepared to leave the table at any moment, you hold 100% of the power. You are telling the world, I desire things, but I do not need them to survive. Finally, the person who is impossible to manipulate possesses the trait of cosmic perspective. Manipulators try to create a storm in a teacup. They make small problems feel like life or death emergencies to panic you. They try to trap you in the drama of the moment. The Stoics practiced an exercise called the view from above. They would imagine floating up out of their bodies, seeing their house, then their city, then the whole earth. From that height, the petty insults of a toxic friend or the passive-aggressive comment of a family member look microscopic. They simply don't matter. When you adopt this perspective, you realize that life is too short to be lived on someone else's terms. You realize that this stress, this anxiety, this person trying to control you, it's all temporary. Why would you hand over the keys to your mind to someone who is just a tiny speck in history? By mastering these traits, the pause, the silence, the boundaries, and the perspective, you don't just survive manipulation, you rise above it. You become a fortress. And as the Stoics knew 2,000 years ago, a fortress doesn't need to attack the enemy to win. It simply needs to stand. If this video helped you see your own strength, don't forget to like and subscribe. Build your fortress, and I'll see you in the next video.